I think when you are hungry, you can't focus on anything else to not eat. It's very different than when you don't have a choice. All I thought about was that next meal.
What kept this little boy who'd already been through so much abuse and struggle and trauma going? What kept you moving forward?
Before I knew God, God knew me.
How does that affect you as you continue to progress through your life?
I think so much of this is understanding not just how our behavior manifests within us, but how our behavior influences and impacts others.
Or if it's been said that all great people can have their lives summed up in one sentence, how would you like yours to read?
Setbacks are inevitable, but failure is not an option.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to the Live Inspired podcast with John O'Leary. When I was 9 years old, I was brought into an emergency room with burns on 100% of my body. And the way they figure out mortality is they take the percentage of your body burned, they add your age, and they figured out now what mortality is. Meaning, this kid in 2025 has a 109% likelihood of dying. No chance. And yet, as unlikely as it is for me to be with you on this podcast episode today, the gentleman I'm seated across from in our Live Inspired John O'Leary studios, his life, his persona, his family, his business is far more unlikely than my life. His life and his presence is evidence of miraculous grace, love, but also an awful lot of personal courage. You're going to hear that story. You're going to want to hear more about that story. You're going to probably do what I did. I don't recommend starting this book in the evening because you will not fall asleep. The name of the book is Twice Over a Man. I read it starting yesterday, finished early this morning, Orv. I was mad at you at about 3:15 when I finally got through the final page, wiping my eyes and my heart fluttering with hope. So without further ado, I'm going to loop in my friend, and that's who this guy is, soon to be yours. His name is Orv Kimbrough. Orvin, welcome to Live Inspired with John O'Leary.
John, thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to the conversation, brother.
You heard me share this long-winded intro talking about 37 years ago, O'Leary getting burned and he shouldn't live and you shouldn't live and you've got a business and you've got an unlikely past. When you walk into a boardroom or an airplane or a coffee shop, meeting someone for the first time and you extend your hand and they shake yours and they say, Orv, tell me about you. How do you respond to that?
Generally, I respond with, I'm a foster kid. And that blows people's mind, particularly if they already know that I'm the CEO of one of the largest banks in Missouri. But I start with, I'm a foster kid. And if I really want shock value, I may say I'm a 1%er. And if you think about just that concept, that's a trigger word. I'm a 1%er. And then I go on to say less than 3% of kids who age out of the foster care system will go on to college. They will less than 3%, and less than that will actually persist and graduate college. So that's 1%. And so that starts the conversation. And why that's important is because what you see in that moment, when I walk in that boardroom, you see somebody who is seemingly accomplished, who has seemingly arrived. But each and every day I'm arriving. I'm a foster kid.
It's awesome. You are a 1%er, but I think you're cheapening the math. I don't think it's even 1% likelihood of you graduating, let alone running this $3 billion business and doing so humbly. So I'm going to go back a little bit in time. We're going to go back from the Mizzou Tigers band playing on the football field and all the other experiences, man. You talked about being a foster kid, but before you were a foster kid, you were a fatherless child, first growing up in East St. Louis.
Yeah.
So I just want to talk about your days, man. You and I have the exact opposite past.
Yeah.
My parents remained together. The foundation of my family is so firm. I don't know if I heard a curse word growing up. I'd never been abused, never been sexually abused, never been physically abused, never been yelled at. Yeah. I've been encouraged. I'd had stern warnings, but I'd never experienced anything at all. And then I read your story and I read a man who went through things I can't fathom. I don't know how you pulled through it. So let's talk first of all about your childhood, starting in East St. Louis.
I was born in East St. Louis in 1974. And the only thing that I know about East St. Louis is that I was born there. And I grew up in North City. I never knew my father. My mother died when I was 8 years old. She was 28, 29. She died of complications from drug and alcohol abuse.